Hi and welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'll be sharing how I made this palazzo jumpsuit with side flounce and an open slit sleeve. Please stick to the end of the video.
So let's start. This is the upper part of the jumpsuit, and I've placed my pattern and I cut out both for the front and the back. So I'm just going to unpin it to show you what I have. So this is the back pattern. I'm going to place my lining on it for turn up. So while sewing, I'm going to stitch up the zipper area at the side, and I will not stitch the armhole, and I will stitch the neckline. Moving over to the front pattern, so if you notice the neckline is not as deep as the thumbnail, so this is what the client wanted. I'm actually making it for a client, so I'm going to place the lining on it, and I'll stitch up the neckline and the side. So I won't be stitching the armhole area because I'll be joining sleeve to the dress. So I've gone ahead and I've turned up the front, and I went ahead to insert the dart also. This is what I have. So like I said earlier, the client I'm making this dress doesn't want a deep neckline, so I'll bring the lower part of the trouser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the lower part of the leg, but first I'm just going to place the trouser together this way, and I'll go ahead and I'll pin it down. So from there I'm going to place my tape, and I'm going to measure about 1 inch, and I'm going to mark. So I'm going to take that 1 inch mark lower. So getting to this point, I'm going to go down by ½ inch, and from that ½ inch I'm going to slant it to the tip of the trouser, or to the tip of the crouch. So I'm going to sew there down. So first I'll just flip it open to show you what it will be looking like. So you're going to join the upper part to the lower part this way with ½ inch. So this is what you will have after joining it. So for the lower part of the trouser at the end, you're going to fold it just this way. Remember, we added 2 inches for folding allowance. You're going to fold out that allowance we added. So this is the dress for the back. I've gone ahead and I've done the turn up, and I've also inserted the dart which I marked out while drafting. So I'll keep that aside, and I'm going to bring the lower part of the jumpsuit, which is the trouser. So at the lower part of the trouser, I'm going to fold it with ½ and 1, and I'm going to do it for all the trouser leg. So for the back part of the trouser, I'm going to be inserting a dart at the back of the jumpsuit, or on the trouser. So I'm going to do this by folding the waist side into 2. After folding it into 2, I'm just going to pin it first. After pinning it, I'm going to bring a tape, and you're going to mark a 3 inches dart. So you're going to sew a 3 inches dart at the back part of your trouser on both sides. So after doing that, you're just going to join it to your back. So you're going to do this for the both sides of the trouser. So this is the front pattern after joining, just like I said. So this is what I have. You can see I've joined it. So this is the back side, and I've joined this to this. So what I'm going to do is to take the other side and place it this way, and I'll make sure this part meets the other part, and I'll go ahead and pin it down to the lower part. I'll also make sure that part meets at the crouch. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark where my zipper will start. I'm going to place my tape, and I'll go down by 6 to 7 inches. So I'll mark a line. So from there, I'll be sewing down to my crouch. So from that point, I'll go in by 1 inch. So I'll take that 1 inch down. So going down, I'm just going to curve it and slant it down to my crouch. So after pinning it, I'm going to flip it to the other side to show you what it will look like after done sewing it. So flipping it over, this is what I have. So at this part, you'll be inserting your zipper if you're done sewing. So after inserting your zipper, you'll be joining your shoulder. So I'll bring the front pattern to and place it on the back pattern. So I'm going to join the shoulder. So to join the shoulder, I'm going to take one and I'm going to wrap it against the other one so that you're going to have a neat finishing after joining. So you're going to fold it in this way and you're going to sew at the shoulder. So let me just repeat it for clarity's sake. You're going to take one, put it this way, and you're going to wrap it round the other one and you're going to sew. So by the time you're done sewing, you're going to have a neat finishing. So let me just pin it down for you to see how the inside will be looking after you're done sewing. So after you're done sewing, this is what is meant to look like. So I'm done joining the shoulder and this is what I have. This is what the inside looks like. So going over to the sleeve, I've placed my pattern and I've cut it out. So if you haven't seen a pattern drafting of this video, you can go down to my description box or you can go check it out on my YouTube channel. So what I'm going to do is I'll unpin the pattern from the main fabric. So I will separate them into two parts. After doing that, I'll place my tape and I'll measure 1 inch inwards. But before I do that, I'm going to mark 5 inches. So I'm going to stop at that 5 inch and leave the other part of the sleeve open. So I'll pin it down for you to see what it will look like after sewing. So flipping it over to the other side, this is what I have. So at this part, you're either going to top stitch it or you're going to use hemming gum to hold it flat this way. So I cut out little strips of fabric. So I'm going to use it to wrap the mouth of the Ankara. I'm going to use it to create a band at the lower part, just this way. So you're going to place it on the Ankara and you're going to pin. So you're going to use it to create a band at the ending part or at the lower part of the sleeve and you're going to sew. And you're going to do this for both sides of the open slit sleeve. So this is what your sleeve will be looking after you're done sewing. I just pinned it down. So you're going to have this opening at the center. So this is the sleeve. This is what is looking like. I've gone ahead and I've sewed it and I top stitched it at the center. Just like I said, you can top stitch it or you can use hemming gum. So I'm just going to weave out the rough edges around it. And also this is what the back looks like. So you can go ahead and make little bow tie just like this. So going over to the flounce part of the trouser, just like I did in the tutorial, I cut out a flounce and I'm going to actually cut it out on my material. So I'm going to use this point at the center of my material and I'm going to draw a line cutting across it. So I'm going to mark that 4 inches round the line that I made. After cutting the line, I'm going to mark the length of the flounce you want to use. So I'm going to make use of 4 inches flounce. My flounce is not that big, so you can go ahead and make 6, 7 or 10 inches depending on what you want, because the flounce on the top thumbnail is a bit wide, but I'm just making use of 4 inches. So I'm going to take that 4 inches round. So I will mark it continuously. So after marking this point, coming to this point, I'm going to mark the 4 inches from here. And I'm going to take it round as well. Please, at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification button to get new updates from my channel. And also drop your comments or leave your comments at the comment section. Thank you. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always watching and viewing my channel. Thank you for the support so far and the growth in my channel. I really appreciate. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. It is free. Just support my channel by subscribing and dropping your comment. Also liking my video. So after marking out the lines, the next thing I'm going to do is to join my lines. After joining the line to form the flounce, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut the flounce out. So while cutting your lines, you're going to follow the lines or the pattern that you have made. And after cutting that, I'm going to show you what I have as my flounce. So this is the flounce that I've cut out, and I'm going to attach it to my trouser. So I've gone ahead and I've attached my flounce to my trouser, and I've also attached the sleeve that I made earlier to my jumpsuit. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to join my jumpsuit. So I'm going to flip it to the back and I'm going to pin it down. So to shape my jumpsuit, I'm going to place my tape at this point, and I'm going to mark my shoulder, the shoulder to bust I'm working with, the shoulder to under bust, and the shoulder to waistline that I'm working with. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and I'll insert the bust measurement at the bust point. After doing that, I'll also insert the measurement of the under bust at the under bust area. And I'll go ahead and I'll also do that for my navel. I'll insert the navel or my waist measurement at the waist point. So going down to the trouser part of the jumpsuit. So from this point, I'm going to place my tape and I'll mark 1/2 inch. So I'll take that 1/2 inch down on approaching the hip area to avoid having air at this point. I'm just going to take it straight from that point to avoid having air at my hip side. So after that, I'm going to extend that line down to the down part of my trouser. So after doing that, the next measurement I'll be taking is the one inside of the trouser. But before taking all these measurements, I made sure I pinned my trouser to avoid it from moving or shifting. And I'll go ahead and I'll take my chalk and I'll connect the line. Next thing I'll do is I'll place my tape from this point, and I'm going to mark 8 inches, which is my hip point. So after the hip point, I'm going to mark where my crouch is. So obviously at this point, you know where your crouch is at this point. After marking out your crouch, we went down by 2 inches at the crouch to get our thigh or lap measurement. So if you went down by 3 inches, you're going to mark it. So we went down by 2 inches. So I'll place my tape and I'll mark that 2 inches downwards. So after that, I'll place back my tape and I'll mark my knee measurements. So note, all these measurements I'm taking for the jumpsuit is starting from the waistline. So heading over to the lower part of the trouser, you're going to divide your measurements, the measurement you have at the lower part of the trouser, by 2, and you're going to mark your measurement. So most times at the lower part, I just go in by 1 inch, which I'm just going to mark. So from there, I'll be going up to the trouser half length. At the trouser half length, at that 1/2 inch I marked at the edge, I'm going to place my tape and I'll mark the lap circumference I used
divided by 2, and I'm going to insert my measurement. So after that, I'll be going to the tie measurement. So at the tie, it's either you slant it or you just place your tape and mark whatever you have there. So at the tie, I'm going to place my tape and I'll mark the tie measurements I'm working with divided by 2, and I'm going to place it also. So after doing that, I'll be connecting all my lines. So whatever I do to this part of the jumpsuit, I'll be doing it to the other side of the leg of the jumpsuit also. So with that, I'll go ahead and I'll shape it and I'll bring it for you to see the final result. So with this, we have come to the end of the tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification button to get new updates from my channel whenever